Clara County Fire and with the town. So the resident gets a constant stream of information that is accurate and coordinated and not varied. So we put those mechanisms together yesterday and today. The third thing we're doing right now, in fact, I was going over some emails as you were speaking, is starting to look at potential evacuation sites in the event that Los Altos Hills does need some evacuation. So in doing that, the discussion coordination is between Marcia Hovey and Heppenstall, who's in City of Los Altos, and the district, Denise, who's on this call. So Denise, I'm kind of doing things on the side here, but we'll probably have that conversation tomorrow. I think this event that's occurring right now is another call to action, call of awareness, and all of us, I think, want to leverage it and take as much opportunity as possible to practice our skills, practice our thinking, practice putting our SOPs together and our protocols to know what is going to occur if it were to happen suddenly and right in our backyard. I've been spending a lot of time on the fire cameras yesterday and today. They're absolutely amazing as to what they do and can show of the progress of the fire. Been extremely impressed with how communicative the fire chief and his staff is in keeping everyone apprised. I think one of the lessons learned that I observed today was I spent all day Thursday, all day Monday, Tuesday, and today on the Board of Supervisors hearings. In the middle of the hearing, right at about 2 o'clock, Supervisor Cortese said, I have to leave right now. I have to evacuate my home and my community. And that was it. He got up and he was gone. So there can be no more visceral experience than to sit and listen and to hear that kind of urgency that's affecting someone. And President Chavez of the Board of Supervisors followed that with saying, I want to hear the April 2019 wildfire risk and response report again from County Fire. Now, to go back, Chief Bowden and his staff wrote that report. It was a follow-up to the CWPP, and the Board of Supervisors heard it twice, took absolutely no action on it, and really had very little discussion. So it just didn't take hold. It didn't get any foothold. As a result, now that this is occurring, all eyes are focused on what is our wildfire risk and response? What should we be doing? And so that will be presented to the Board of Supervisors again on Friday. And I sent an email off to the chief and just very hopeful of the opportunity. So I think what the call to action is for all of us to understand that windows of opportunity come sometimes when you don't expect them. And I think this is one of them. And I just want to see all of us working collaboratively together, coordinating our efforts, thinking ahead, and being very proactive for when the time comes, when it's really a current, an event in our backyard. It could be tomorrow, it could be next month, it could be a year from now. But these are practice opportunities. So that's my comment. It's a little longer than probably I wanted to go, but I'll just offer that for your thought and comment. And thank you very much. Thanks, Denise, for the question. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.
I have a question or a comment. Jay, I really like the updates that came over today. They're very clear.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I think one thing that would help would be a link in those things to the incident so that people could see where the evacuation areas are. And there's always somewhere they can go live to see if the areas have changed or what have you, right?
Yes. Yes, I appreciate that. And that comment came in front of the Board of Supervisors in relation to County Fire and Cal Fire. The process was moving so fast that there was not clear information. And I think if there's not clear information, it's difficult to give information. And even the Board of Supervisors was experiencing, I guess, that frustration. It's like, well, where is the evacuation? Where are people supposed to go? What do you mean the whole Evergreen district has to the evergreen area has to evacuate. Where are they going to go? There weren't clear answers, and that's being sorted out. So when I get involved in communication that's not clear and not sorted out, what I do is I refrain. I wait for either CAL FIRE or Santa Clara County Fire to give that advisory. Then we go from there. That pacing is critical. Oftentimes people want information before it's accurately available. This morning, if you could imagine, my first email in said 50,000 acres had joined together in a fire. And I went, what? We went from 10,000 last night to 50,000 now. What's going on? And within maybe 10 minutes, it's like, oops, it wasn't 50,000, it was 10,000. Well, there is a big difference. Luckily, that wasn't broadcast out. What had occurred was the radar of the fire was so undefined because of the intense smoke that it looked to be a much bigger area than actually it was. So these are the kinds of things in evacuation and in size of fires and where the fire's going that's very hard to sort out very, very quickly. So that's kind of my response there. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then just really quick to add to that, Denise, again, let me get my video off. CAL FIRE's website was down for a little bit. So sometimes even the best sourcing isn't available. So, you know, again, because everybody hits it at the same time to get the information,
Right.
Sometimes it goes down, so.
Right, that, I mean, for us techies, that's a well-known problem that definitely needs to be planned for, because this is a small event, right, when you get right down to it.
It's small here, but CAL FIRE is statewide, and they're busy statewide. They're maxed out statewide. There are no resources available in California.
I understand, but we're talking about websites here that,
Correct.
Like I said, we're all techies. We know this sort of thing can get scaled pretty well. But
Correct. And we are talking state of California, unfortunately. So sometimes in the fire service, we always had the saying that, you know, change happens one retirement at a time. So
right.
not always the most efficient. But again, you know, that's why we're kind of saying, what is your plan if you evacuate? You know, we're having you, and that's like Jay said, we're meeting, you know, kind of informally with people in the area to help with some of these decisions for the people, because you guys are going to be the ones that know where you're going, but you're 1%, not even 1% of the total number of residents. How about all those people who have no idea, have no plan, you know? So that's a component that, you know, we're obviously going to have to deal with. So the messaging is so important, and where you get the sourcing for that messaging and it being correct, like Jay has just said. So that's what we're really trying to work on, streamlining these opportunities. Thank you.
And Denise, I think one, excuse me, smoke has been pretty intense here. One of the other things too that Denise is doing is staying in touch with our water purveyors. These are the times when we sort out who do we need to be in close contact with, particularly with Parisima Hills Water District. They assured us that they are bringing in more water just to make sure their tanks are filled. Well, you know, that's awesome. It's just so helpful to know that the agencies that we look to in times of disaster are also thinking about what they can do from a partnership level to help us. Thank you.
And Cal Water said they were low on water because of PG&E cutting their power, right? So.
Yes, and the district has put in generators in both Parisima Hills and Cal Water. And during the power shutoffs back last fall and summer, those generators were critical to keeping the water flowing, and that kept the water at the hydrants.
Good.
So the district has taken those steps, those measures in the past to help the water purveyors be sure they have the generators in place, because the power went off. I mean, it doesn't have to be a fire; it could just be a power shutdown or a PSPS.
Right.
Thank you.
And just a little side comment, I'm over in Aptos. We had a rolling blackout on Saturday. I had no internet, no Google search, no, and I have a hotspot on the phone, so no phone search, no ability to get on the internet. and that's not supposed to be, but there is no regulation for cell phone towers. They're supposed to have, you know, a minimum of some battery backup, but there was none. So, and that was just a 2-hour rolling blackout. But, you know, again, so one of the things we're going to do tonight is there's a little workbook. A lot of this is redundancy if you've taken PEP classes and things like that, but it's writing down, you know, those phone numbers, those items that you might need in an emergency, you know. So I know it seems a little bit, we talked about what's the backup to if the ham radio doesn't work and the text doesn't work, pieces of paper, it's the Form 1, you know, the tablet of paper, you know, so it's the writing this stuff down and sticking it in your backpack. So when there is a phone available, you have those numbers that you need if you can't get on the internet or whatever. So to that, any more questions around this? And otherwise I'll have Victoria sent out the workbook to you. If you want to bring the workbook up, we'll start with that. Because again, it's just another kind of rinse and repeat of PEP, but it's evacuation centric, since that's kind of our focus today because of the current events. So Victoria, is that, can you bring that up on a screen share?
I'm working on it. It's not
If
letting me share.
If not, I'll try. And you should have gotten a copy of it in a reminder email today. It says WEW workbook as the attachment. It's about a 3-page document. Let me open mine up. Page 1 is just the FireSafe Council. This was out of a workshop that we did for the Saddle Mountain area back on July 23rd. So if you just want to scroll down, you all have this. Let's just go over it really quick. Again, very similar to what you've seen. This was prepared by FireSafe Council, which is a nonprofit that's been in Santa Clara County for 15 years. We have a very close collaboration. They're running our chipping program now that you might take advantage of. They've been doing that since about April 1st. A little bit of changes with that because we're trying to get some, you know, measuring metrics worked into that we have never had in the past. Victoria was key in that program of getting it online. So a lot of things that we're moving slowly, but we're trying to get some improvements. Had some difficulties in, you know, it's not as convenient, some of those things. But anyhow, so that's what FireSafe Council, they're helping us on shaded fuel breaks and some other project I'll talk about later. So this is pretty obvious, contact information, phone numbers, because again, if the phone doesn't work or you have to borrow someone else's phone because your service provider is completely down, do you know those phone numbers without them pre-programmed? You know, do you know those email addresses without just having them instantly, you know, pop up? Information, when it says pet information, also a picture, that's not included here, microchip numbers and pictures, things like that. So for reuniting purposes. So I would add a picture in with family members and with pets to this document here. So again, we just talked about this. Where will we go? So if your family is separated, if you have multiple members of your family that are drivers or whatever, around the current events with shelter in place, do you have any children that don't drive? Do you leave them alone in the house because they're old enough to be alone? But what if you have a mandatory evacuation and can't get back in to get your children? Have you talked to your neighbors? Do you have a backup plan? People that can help with your children or your pets if you can't get back in because it's a fast moving fire and you're out of the area. So again, that's number 1, plan of action. Number 2, what's an outside meeting place outside of our neighborhood? Because you have 2 levels of meeting. You know, do we meet at our home or do we meet outside depending on what the evacuation orders or recommendations are? And then this is around that thing that we learn, we teach to young children, 2 ways out of every house in a fire. Okay, so what's your 2 ways out? And again, I take this to the next level, 2 ways out of your home in an evacuation if the first route's impassable. So the active shooter scenario that we do in PEP class is 2 ways out of the grocery store. 90% of the people will go through the door they entered in. Do you know where the back door is? Because that's the 10% of the people that are going to go out the back door. So I invite you or encourage you, everywhere you go, look for that alternate route of egress to exit. active shooter is what I use frequently, but it can be earthquake. You know, the front door gets blocked for some reason. What is that second egress? Around your house, can you do it in the dark without your GPS? Because we're going to assume infrastructure is gone. So can you do those roads that aren't common in the dark, in the smoke? Victoria's going to play a video in a minute that we played at this through the PowerPoint presentation. But anyhow, these are all those things. If you think about it, if you consider it, your mind is not necessarily just going to go on reactive. You might actually have some thinking and remembering components. Go bags, again, this is focused around evacuation, but it's, you know, this is all common stuff you've seen before. You know, so again, this is just here for your reminders. Check it out. Maybe it needs rotation, the things that have shelf life. Some specialty items, and again, I mentioned the photos, having your pets and your family, because God forbid they get separated and they're lost or something, but to have that photo to put up sooner than later, a current photo. And again, these are all things that you know, you want to have maybe at multiple layers that you have it. Maybe it's a safe deposit box, maybe it's a zip drive, maybe it's in the cloud. You know, again, security, make sure you have really strong this personal information items. So I think that's the end. Oh, okay, the grab list. So these are things, you know, what other things would you want to grab other than your go bag? You know, what types of things do you want to take? So if someone needs to help you, you know, if there's certain things that you don't have in your go bag, what other types of things, or can you put them in your go bag? If there are things like, if you don't have a spare set of glasses, your keys, this is just kind of a place to list some of those extra emergency things that you want to grab if you had 10 minutes before you needed to leave. Again, this is all review, but it's just, does any of this need rotating? As the antiseptic wipes, have they dried out? Did you use them up because of COVID? You know, whatever the reason is, maybe it's time to just take a quick look. Because I know I went through and grabbed masks out of my first aid because of COVID. So I need to replace those at some point. Neighbors, this is where we got into this component. Now, again, this is out of a workshop. So this workshop is a networking workshop. So you actually meet with your neighbors in person. And when it was done in person, unfortunately, we're doing it remotely now. But getting to know your neighbors, getting their names, because especially up in your area, a lot of the neighbors are, you know, gates that are spread far apart, you know. So this is an opportunity for people to, you know, come together, meet. So this page isn't necessarily as appropriate to what I'm teaching or talking about tonight, but it is a good place to get a couple phone numbers of your neighbors, especially ones that you might rely on as a backup plan. And then again, here's some recommendations. You know, we've already kind of gone over some of this already, but look over this. If they're pertinent to your situation, you know, think about these things. There's a really great way to, if you are evacuated with your voicemail, to learn how to have every member of the family know how to change their voicemail on their phone to say, instead of just, hey, it's me and you missed me, leave your message. So I'm out of, you know, my home, I'm in, you know, this town and I'm okay, you know, instead of just getting the leave a message, because then they don't have to leave a message possibly because they know that you're okay. So that's one of the recommendations. It's a little bit different, is to change that voicemail and give an alternate phone number if you can't use that phone. All right, scrolling down again here, you know, and again, we'll go over some of this stuff later. I'm really going to buzz through this, but this is some stuff that you can look at. And if you have questions, we can talk about those independently. And it is some of the questions that we were talking about today. Where do you go and look? Here's some of those places to go and look for information. You know, put these in your favorites bar on your computer. Go in there and look at them, see what they have, because a lot of really good resources are buried in pages of these websites. So your notes, that's self-explanatory. Anything else on that, or is that's it? Yeah. Okay, Victoria, can you bring up the PowerPoint? Any
having a hard time hearing
on
you.
this while Victoria gets a PowerPoint, and go to the slide, the first slide that has the video in it. And let's see if we can get that video to come up without, any questions
got
while
the video
Victoria's
on
getting that
screen.
going on?
She's got
Can
it
you
on
find the
screen
video
already.
that first, on slide 2, can you run the video? Oh, she does?
It's on screen,
That's it.
right? She just needs to play.
Yeah, just hit play.
Play.
No, she's on slide 1. Looks like there's a video on page 2.
Yeah, slide 2, Victoria. Go to slide 2.
We can get a few.
Okay, so fast forward maybe a little bit. So what we're looking at now, this first picture, let me just go with the slide while she works on this. This is the Loma fire that was back in 2016. Yes, 16. That was in Santa Clara County, up off, kind of burned over from the Santa Cruz Mountains into the Morgan Hillside. Eugenia Rendler, there's her email and phone number. She is the FireSafe Council. Can you mute?
You want that?
Yeah, we need to get to slide 2 in the video. So she's going off a link for a Zoom meeting that we had that's available for you to watch that has this whole presentation by Eugenia. I have this video that I can, okay.
Yeah.
We'll send you a link. Can you just, let me see if I can bring up the slide presentation. Give me just a second.
So the video link I just put in the chat. We can play it ourselves.
Yeah. You can, let me get mine up.
So maybe we should all watch the video on our own.
Yeah.
Victoria's upstream bandwidth is terrible, and so
Yeah.
she won't be able to play a video up into the Zoom.
Denise, all right. Welcome back, everyone. It's been back again, and
Yeah,
just
no, we don't
thank you
wanna do that.
for coming back again. I think we have a couple. Welcome back, everyone.
Okay, so let me just go back on. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Okay. So basically, we're gonna just what we'll do is we'll just send you, Victoria, we've lost you on internet.
It's not moving.
Okay,
I'm trying.
that's okay. What we'll do,
It's not.
we're already at 8 o'clock, so we'll just send this to everybody.
Well,
It's a Vimeo link.
Right.
And I'll send separately the PowerPoint presentation, or I'm sorry, the video link. You have it up there on Vimeo, so you can watch it if you want to copy that. You can take it off there, but we'll send that video link separate. But if you're interested in watching the video, it has the presentation. It was about an hour long. It was with the residents of the Saddle Mountain area. Let me just couple minutes just so you know what's going on with that. We've had 2 meetings. One was a preparatory meeting. The second one was the video that you can watch on Vimeo. It's a Zoom meeting. That was the first time Eugenia's presented this presentation remotely. Like I said, usually it's an in-person neighborhood networking presentation workshop, where that's part of the whole component of it is the neighborhoods getting to know each other. Unfortunately, in the social distancing, we had to do that remotely. So that's what that video is. The drill will be on September 13th, which is a Sunday. If you're interested in the drill, as far as wanting to come see, be a participant, something like that, send myself an email, and I will work you into a component of it if you're interested. Otherwise, we may be doing the other drill where if we decide to do that one, if you guys decide to do the silver alert type activation, you can be involved in that one. So again, whatever you know, whatever capacity, if you want to see what's going on in Saddle Mountain evacuation, we do hope to do this in other neighborhoods, a couple of more neighborhoods before the end of the year. Because again, the whole point of doing the practice, we're going to have an engine company that will be coming out and doing a hose evolution. There'll be a couple of sheriffs on site, both for the looting component to make sure the neighborhood's safe while the evacuation is going on. But if people have, say, a horse trailer, can they hook it up? If they don't have battery backup on their garage door opener, do they know how to open that? So we'll have as realistic a training as we can do. They're going to go to Parissima Park as their meeting place. And then we're going to do a Zoom meeting afterwards to kind of get input, to see where gaps are for them, to see what they can work out on their own. And what this is coming to the psychology, the neuropsychology of it is, the amygdala takes over when you're in stress and panic, and it's your reptilian brain where it's your reactive brain. So as much as we can train in to you stop using your prefrontal cortex, you stop the thinking brain and you go to the reaction brain. So the concept, this is why firefighters practice throwing ladders over and over. So it's just second nature. They don't have to think, what do I do? Fly in, fly out, tie it off, you know, all those little details that are the finesse. So this is the same component that we're looking for in the training, is to give people, maybe it's not the slideshow of a real evacuation, but it's a practice evacuation. So that's kind of where we're heading with that, is to try to get as many people this practical practice to help move forward. So it's 8 o'clock. And that's the end of the meeting time. Is there any questions? I know Victoria had to drop off because of her internet, so she can't get logged back on. She's sending me text messages. Sorry, I've been looking. So let me, any questions? I'm not sure what she had left, but she said to go ahead and adjourn after we ask questions. Any questions that I can help with right now? This was, so we'll reschedule Neil when he's back. It'll be the next meeting that we throw together, whatever the next date is when he's back and we have a meeting, will be on activation review. So that's the plan. This one, because of the timeness of evacuation, we wanted to throw out some of those accountability, revisit those issues and ideas. What does that look like? Kind of do the different caveat to evacuation means, yeah, we don't have a lot of CERT capacity in that because it's get out and be safe. And how can we make sure everybody did get out and is safe, you know, inside? Once you get your family and your friends and whatnot, now your CERT community. We want to kind of work on where does that and how does that look like. So if there's no other questions, I'll say thank you very much on behalf of Victoria. And everybody that came on, and I appreciate you taking your time. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thanks everybody for coming out tonight.
Thanks.
We'd say bye to Victoria, but we lost her and she can't get back on. So.
I'm still hoping to get that backpack sometime. I know it's been partly my fault because my work schedule.
Well, yeah, just talk to Victoria. I don't have the, she has the facilities to do that as far as meeting. She goes to when she goes to the ARC, that would be a good time to try to coordinate with her when she's having these ARC drills, because she's having them at least once a month. So,
Usually when I'm working though.
okay, well, yeah, just reach out to her. I don't, you know, just, she's up there for other times too. We can maybe work out something. Have you picked up your vest yet?
No, I will, when they come in, I'll pick it up with Dave.
Well, they're in already.
Dave said he didn't have them yet.
Well, he doesn't have them from Neil's house, but they're in Los Altos Hills. Yeah, so, yeah, so maybe reach out to Victoria and Dave and see if we can coordinate the backpack too. Maybe on the same day. Awesome, thank you. Any other questions? I can't find where to close the meeting. Oh, I see it now. Here it is. Okay. Any questions? Jay, did you have a question?
Nope, just saying goodbye. Thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Denise. Thanks, Victoria.
All right, everybody, I'm
Okay,
gonna sign out.
bye.
Have a good night.
Sign out. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Good night.